What's up, beautiful world? Welcome to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective. Today is Friday, Marco, what is it? What date is it today? The 12th. Today's the 12th, Friday the 12th. I do this damn near every episode. It's COVID, man. I think I have the right to forget all these damn dates. But, man, I can't tell everybody how happy I am with the guest that I have today. I'm borderline fanboying, and I don't fanboy for anybody, and this is the truth. But I'm truly, genuinely, 110 fucking percent a huge fan of this person here. Typically, I just love to have awesome guests, talk to them, hear their stories. A lot of the, face adversity, people with PTSD, fighters, just everybody trying to do something. And I just want to learn about them, and I love that process. Today, I have somebody that I've been following since WEC. A lot of you guys don't know what that is. That's the World Extreme Championship Fighting. It's a league beneath the UFC, one of those smaller leagues that the UFC ended up buying out. They were kind of sisterhood with him. And I've been following him for the longest time. And he's a huge representative of the Latin race. He's a huge representative of Miami. He is a Miami native, but he's also a Chicago native. We're going to find out how the hell that happened. And he had one of the dopest careers in the UFC. Everybody wanted to fight him. Then nobody wanted to fight him. You even got Conor McGregor trying to get you out of retirement right now to bring him back because that's the type of guy that he is, that Conor just said, man, I would love to have a fight with that dude. So everybody paying attention right now, listening, tuning in. If you haven't looked, go ahead and look it up in the video so you can see the good-looking brother that's battle scars everywhere. Mr. Ricardo Lamas, a.k.a. The Bully.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good, man. Listen, thank you very much for coming to the podcast. I need to update people. He's actually doing this in very short notice. You're actually really blessing me, hooking me up with this. I believe that our good friend Marco Furman over here, which is actually one of my first, if not my first, initial podcast interview, which I'm so thankful for. This guy has helped me, guide me, and give me all these great pointers. And I believe that he dropped a little seed in Ricky's ear and said, hey, man, why don't you go ahead and check him out? And here we are. But you're really in town because you have a couple fighters from Chicago who are fighting on tonight's Titan FC card. Titan FC is a league for everybody. It's a local league for you guys listening. Shout out to Titan FC. And I happened to reach out to him because the shirt you guys see me wearing, if you guys aren't watching the video and you're listening to the podcast, take a look when you get a chance. Right now I'm wearing a UFC shirt because I just wanted to represent Ricardo, not only for fighting in the UFC, but he also owns a gym. We'll get to that. And it's a UFC gym, and that's what I have on. I used to work for the UFC gym. That's how we met, through mutual friends and training and everything else when you were going back and forth from Miami. But when we come back after a quick little break, you're going to see another shirt that I'm going to wear, and it's Ricardo's shirt, and it's a movement that he's doing, and that's how I actually reached out to you personally. Yeah. I hit you up on Instagram. For somebody who has such a big following, who's so known, you answered right away within 30, 40 minutes, and I asked you, I said, hey, man, I want to help support the movement. So we're going to come back, and we're going to talk to that movement, but let's get everybody a big, quick. Ricardo's in a little bit of a hurry, so we're going to try to do the best we can. This might be one of our shortest podcasts, maybe an hour or so, but because he has to get ready for his fighters. You got to go corner them, get them ready, everything else that you were going through for so long.
Right, exactly.
So what? Let's get down to the, man, when you first started fucking kicking some ass, dude, what was it that got you into MMA?
I was a fan of it since I was a kid. I probably have to give credit to one of my older brothers for exposing me to it first, because he brought home a VHS of one of the first UFC events, like back when it was bare knuckle, no weight classes.
You know how old you just made it sound, right?
Yes, I just dated myself there, didn't
VHS is what you just said. Fuck.
Yeah, VHS is a cassette tape, guys, if you don't know.
Most people don't even know the fuck it is. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So he brought one of those home, and he was like, you guys got to see this. It's crazy. Like, these guys are beating the shit out of each other's bare knuckle. And the second I saw it, I was hooked. And I was maybe like 10, 11 years old. So that was right around the time when I started getting into martial arts. I started doing taekwondo and stuff like that. And then when I hit high school, one of my brothers was on the wrestling team, so that kind of drew me into that. And then I just kind of fell in love with wrestling all the way through college. That was the main thing I concentrated on for all those years. And then still wanted to compete when I was done wrestling in college, and kind of circled back to the whole MMA thing, and just slowly got into it from there.
Something that people don't know, one, wrestlers are the best transitioners to MMA. I don't know, the only tougher thing than a wrestling practice would be an MMA practice involving wrestling, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's just it, because you're worried about punches and certain jiu-jitsu moves, but there's nothing more grueling than wrestling practice. So they transition beautifully to MMA. They just got to get the hands and kicks right. They transition beautifully to jiu-jitsu. But something that a lot of people don't know is, and I had to look it up. You know, I did my research, wanted to be ready for you. You have so many accolades that I just had to be ready with who the fuck I can refer to, what I can break down. Dude, I didn't know that you had 6. No, you're the youngest of 6 boys.
Yes.
That's a lot of ass whooping going on.
That's a lot of ass whooping going on. My whole
whooping.
life I had to deal with that, bro. Yeah, like, you wonder why I'm a
Fuck.
fighter now, right? But
Yeah.
if you hear a little bit of how I grew, you know, all these other people have stories like maybe some of them grew up in a bad neighborhood,
Right.
came from broken families. I didn't have any of that. I had a great family, great parents, grew up in a great neighborhood. But I was the youngest of 6 boys, and my brothers loved to torment me every day. So I was...
And even if it was love, even if it was they were bored, you're the baby brother. You gotta get it. You gotta get it.
I was actually having a conversation about this yesterday because my nickname, the Bully, right? It actually comes from my my very first bull terrier that I had. He was like my main man. He actually came with me in Miami. I fucking certified him as a service dog so I can bring him on the airplane with me. Shh, I didn't say that.
You still got him or no?
I don't know. I had to put him down a few years ago, but he lasted. I never thought he'd see my kids, you know, and he saw my kids, and so I was just very thankful for all that. You know, it was hard putting him down, but yeah, that was. Have you
contemplated getting another one or no? Sometimes people can't do that.
I did have another one. The second one I got wasn't as great with kids, so he's staying with my parents right now for a little bit.
Okay.
Because he gets kind of nervous. With kids, it's hard to watch them, and they just run around and jump on the dogs.
Bro, not only that, my brother had a bull terrier, and you know he used to do a lot of reading. I'm a huge dog lover, huge dog fan. Caesar Milan was like a fucking god to me. I thought he was the man. Bull terriers are one of the most territorial dogs.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think that with my first one. My first one, like, I would have left him alone with an infant, you know, and he was just the kindest dog that you could ever come across. And you know, my son, right when he first started walking, you know, I had him, and you know, my son would always just like drag him around by the collar, and my nieces and nephews too would come sleep over, and they'd use him as a pillow and stuff pretty much. So he was like the best dog ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If people don't know what the bull terrier is, think about the Spud McKenzie dog. That might be too
target
old.
Dog.
The target dog is a better way for people to say. It's in the terrier family. They have a longer
football-shaped head.
Yeah, I was going to say like a bullet almost, but yeah, you can say
egg,
football. And it's a strong snout that they can just dig into. Beautiful dogs, amazing dogs. I'll never forget the one that my brother had. Rick, so you went from college wrestling, which, by the way, you were being very humble about all that. Again, I was reading your accolades. You had a lot of I wrote this shit down almost. But
I was an All-American my senior year, so I placed 6th at the national tournament. Probably would have done a little better, but I separated my shoulder about 2 weeks before the national tournament. So when I wrestled, they shot me up with cortisone to kind of dull the pain, and it lasted. I made it up to the semifinals and then re-injured my shoulder again, and then I just kind of dropped back down. I was wrestling with pretty much one arm after that, and 5th place match, I actually had to injury default out of because I got slammed on my shoulder in it against a kid that I had beaten earlier in the tournament. So just, you know, I ended up taking 6th place, which top 8. People don't know, if you place top 8 the national tournament, you're an All-American.
Okay, I didn't know that either. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where the All-American status comes from.
Where was your training? This college, you it's a weird name. What?
Elmhurst College. It's a little Division III college outside of Chicago in the suburbs.
So at this point, were you born in Chicago or were you born in Miami?
No, I was born in Chicago.
Born in Chicago.
Yeah.
How did we get to Miami?
Miami was like a second home growing up for me. Obviously, I'm half Cuban, half Mexican. So
your dad's Cuban?
My dad's Cuban. My mom is Mexican. My whole dad's side of the family lived down here in Miami. So every vacation, we'd come down here. Eventually, my parents got like a little place in Sunny Isles, a little condo. So we'd spend a lot of the summer down here, like at least a month out of every summer we'd come down. So Miami, I was very familiar with growing up. It was like a second home for me. And then when I started training MMA, I was training with this team, and you know, the coach there, he loved Miami too. I think he had a little timeshare out here or something. And it was around October. It was like my second fight in the WEC. And we were training, and, you know, the weather starts to get cold. It starts to break in October around in Illinois. So we're like, shit, you know, let's get out of here for a week, go down to Miami, train, run on the beach, do stuff like that. So he had a friend down here who was training in MMA Masters at the time. And he was like, yeah, I got a gym for you guys. We want to come in and get some training in. So we came down. I went into the gym, got my ass whooped by Daniel, got my ass whooped by Baboon, and then I was like, this is where I need to be. So for the very next fight, I came down a month in advance and camped for about 4 weeks, and that just kind of stuck throughout my career. So I'd come down for 1 month before every fight, and train with MMA Masters.
So when you're talking about Daniel, for those of you guys who might not know the MMA community, especially here in South Florida, he's talking about Daniel Valverde, one of, if not the top, definitely one of, because you have Cyborg, you have a Brew, and you have a couple others, but Daniel's one of the top 3 best jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, in the nation, he's top 10. In Florida, top 2, 3.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. I met him in the beginning of my MMA career before they went to MMA Masters. That's how long you were still in Chicago. Danny was already my coach. I met Baboon before Danny was MMA Masters. They opened up MMA Masters and took Baboon with them from where we were at South Miami Sports Performance, which was the original ATT in South Miami. Anyhow, and then for those of you guys who heard Baboon, that's another reason why we became buds. Baboon is one of your closest friends.
Yeah, he's my brother.
He's a fucking local legend. He's an amazing guy that we all have mad love for. He's a badass, and he's right now the bare knuckle 155 lightweight champ.
World champion, yeah.
World champ. That's his 6th belt?
Yeah, something like that. He brought him around one time for a photo shoot. His trunk was just full of them.
Yeah, I saw that. Right.
He had to have people like help him bring him in. So
how amazing that you guys had such careers. He went everywhere else except the UFC. You went almost right into the UFC from WEC sisterhood right into to the UFC. I want to talk about, because I had to look him up. And I've never done this. If you look at all my podcasts, I never have writing material in front of me. I organically freestyle after studying. I want it to be as natural as possible. But, I guess those listening, you don't have to be a big MMA fan to appreciate what this man has gone through. And it's definitely what you're doing now with your movement. And you recently retired, and we're going to get to that. But if you are an MMA fan, or if you want to look it up, I got to name drop some of the guys that you fought, because, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
First of all, you went 6-0 before you finally had your first loss. That's already an impressive win streak right there, and it was to Danny Castillo. And I do remember that fight. You got clipped in the second round, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
We all get clipped. Anybody can get clipped. I don't care who you are, you can get clipped. That means you get hit in the right spot and you get knocked out, or your whole fight goes down the drain from there.
Yep.
Then you teed off, had a bunch of wins, and now I just got to name drop the type of people you fought. Cub Swanson, still in the UFC, still a fucking stud, might even go for a championship run if he gets another win or 2. Amazing guy. You beat him. You didn't just beat him, you got submission of the night on Cub Swanson, which is a very difficult thing to do. You had a performance of the night with Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira is right now top 3, top 4 in the mix to fight Dustin Poirier for the lightweight belt right now, or Conor, or whoever. You beat him, and you got performance of the night. And then the biggest one, the championship fight that you had against Jose Aldo. I will never forget that fight. I remember we had a house full of people. We were flipping out. I thought you were winning pretty fucking good, to be quite honest with you. I think, if I remember correctly, I think he turned up on you. He steal the 4th and 5th round from you?
No, I stole the 5th. He was doing really well throughout the fight. I was being a little bit too cautious, too tentative. There's a lot riding on the line, and I think just mentally I wasn't like prepared for that type of fight yet. So it was a huge learning experience, but he was doing good. And then in the 5th, I started to come alive a little bit and ended up kind of reversing him off a scramble. We were kind of going into like a takedown situation, and I ended the fight, throwing elbows. And I feel like if I would have had, 1 or 2 more minutes more, I could have made something happen there. Right. But it was just too little too late. And
it's just one of those things in the fight world where, like you said, you were being a little cautious. Yeah. It's a championship fight, and then once you realize at the end, it's like, damn, I had more tank in me. I could have gone a little bit extra, Yep. But it's Jose Aldo, and he was at his prime peak, still undefeated in 11 years, and you were the next guy who could possibly beat him. I'll never forget that fight. The only time you've had losses, they've been to stud motherfuckers who happen to catch you with a clipper. Josh Emmett.
Yeah.
Probably get a championship attempt in another fight or 2 if he wins. All he does is knock people out. Chad Mendes. Damn it, I hated that fight. You were whooping them. You were whooping him. You were on the outside doing your kicks. You were looking good. You were moving. I think we spoke about that, and I didn't know if you had an injury or not, but I know that Chad got one lucky hit on you on your fucking forehead somewhere.
It was like the top. It was a really weird hit.
Yes,
because it didn't put me out. I was up, and I found my range. I found my jab. I found my calf kick on him. And the last calf kick that I threw, his knee buckled on it, so I knew I had hurt his leg on it. It's just one of those things. He came in, we both threw at the same time. He just moved his head a little bit more off center line than me, and he just hit me square top on the top of my head. And normally that shot wouldn't really, it hurt the other guy more, right? Because that's where their bone, your skull's really dense. But it just threw my whole equilibrium off. And it felt like I was on like a ship in the middle of the ocean, like going side to side. I remember like trying to find my balance, and I tried recovering and fighting it off, but the ref ended up stopping it. So
right. You've been in some fun.
And we won't mention that he got busted for hormones.
Oh yeah. No, we will mention that. By the fact, once he got busted, it is what it is. His whole career went down.
Yeah.
Evidently, he was juiced up the whole fucking time.
He looked like it, but
yeah, he did. No neck, sure. Little, cock diesel ass guy. No, for sure. I can just run down the list. I'll never forget the Max Holloway fight. Get down right here in the middle. Boom. Epic. They still show highlights of it. We're talking about Max fucking Holloway. Diego Sanchez, goddamn Hall of Famer, been in nothing but wars. You put it on him. You ruined Jason Knight's fucking train. Jason Knight was riding the train, and you ruined that train for him.
Too. Dennis Bermudez was on a 7 or 8 win streak. Let
me tell you something, man. I was a big fan of Dennis. When you went against him, I was like, hey, it's home team all day. Fuck that. But damn, bro, that was a good one too. Calvin Kattar, he got a lucky punch on you. I don't want to say lucky, he was a great boxer.
Yeah,
but he got that
boxer, great hands.
One punch. Other than that, you were looking good. I mean, dude, all the way to your old, James Krause is now a coach, gym owner, and once again in the mix. It's very, very impressive from a MMA standpoint what you've done, who you fought, the successes you've had. Tell us a little bit about what was some of your favorite, most memorable fights and why. Because you've had so many, but sometimes it might not be the Aldo fight because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, there's a lot, man. I mean, even ones before I got in the WEC, like climbing up the ranks, like the fight that made me realize that I could, take this as far as I want was it was my my only title. Well, yeah, my first title fight as a pro. It was me and this other guy, Cal Ferry, who was a big Division I wrestler who wrestled at the University of Illinois. He was like through high school, he was a 3-time state champ. He would have been a 4-time state champ, but he got in trouble, so he couldn't wrestle at state. But he was one of those guys that pretty much went undefeated all through his high school career, and then went on to wrestle D1. So me and him were coming up through the ranks around the same time, and we actually met up at the IFL. You remember the IFL?
Of course, the International Fight League. Yes.
So I went to the tryouts for that when I was coming up. I think I was actually still amateur. I don't think I even turned pro yet. But we met up there, so we both made it through like the first like striking round. They did like a grappling round first. They paired you up with some people. And then they did a striking round. I ended up knocking out the guy out that I did my striking round with, so I moved on. And then it was basically like 1 5-minute MMA sparring round. So they just threw headgear on us, put MMA gloves on us, and matched us up, and then we just had to fight. So me and him got paired up in that. And the round I remember was just crazy back and forth, and the round just started, and he just kind of blitzed me like boom, 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 and kind of drove me off the mat. So then we had to restart. And then I ended up taking him down. We were scrambling around. And then I remember he got me in a fucking guillotine, and it sucked so bad because I had the boxing headgear on.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to get out and barely popped my head out, and that was even before I even really started training jiu-jitsu and like knew what to do to defend chokes and all that. But it was cool. So we met up there, and it was kind of like an even round, and then we got set to fight because he was undefeated, I was undefeated, both coming up. It was in his hometown, and the whole arena was against me. I had like my little section, but then the whole rest of the arena was for him. And it was a good fight. It was back and forth. He got me in a couple more guillotines that were really close. They were locked in, but I fought out of them. And then just slowly started to see his spirit break throughout the fight because, he thought he was going to finish me with that guillotine, and he tried like hell for a couple times. And then started putting it on him later on in the fight. In the 4th round, submitted him. And then the whole stadium cleared out like minutes after that.
Damn,
so
you ruined everybody's night.
Everybody's night, man.
And that's a fucking great feeling.
Yeah, and that was like after that fight, I was like, I think I could take this as far as I want to now. So that was the one that was, I think, 2 fights after that, and then I was in the WEC.
Now, you've had some ridiculous bloody wars. Like, all you got to do is look through your career. Was there ever an injury where you really thought, okay, this is detrimental to my life? I know that in your interviews, I think you had mentioned that it was the fight with Jason Knight after you beat him that you started contemplating might be around that time to retire. Though you beat him, was that because of a certain injury, a certain amount of pain? Was there anything going on? Because, MMA hasn't been around long enough to get the research in about CTE. They try to say that because we wear small gloves, it's easier to get knocked out, and you're not going to face what you do as a boxer. True, but we do spar, we do train, and we do this for a lot of years. So we don't know the proof yet. And I know fighters, I think Michael Bisping is the first one to admit the amount of shit he has fought with the fake eye.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't admit that or they won't let you fight. Was something going on now that you're retired that you can admit? Was something going on physically that you kind of, acknowledge?
No, not physically. There was, I just had a family. I had kids. My son was born, and your risk assessment changes throughout life. Like when you're younger, you're single, you don't give a shit, right? I'll go in there, I'll fight whoever, I'll do this, I'll do that. You have kids, and then you start to think about your kids and the future and your future and how you're going to be when they get older. And that kind of hit me a little bit. And I remember before the Jason Knight fight, it was the day of the fight. I was walking around town with my wife, and we were getting something to eat. And I was telling her, I was like, if this fight goes, I always wanted to go out on a good note. I knew that. I didn't want to be one of these fighters that just lost fight after fight after fight and was nothing like the fighter they were when they started, and then decide, finally walk away from it. I wanted to walk out on a high note. And I told her, I was like, if things go well in this fight, I might just call it a career, because that was around the same time that I think we were beginning to open up the UFC gym. So I was like, I could just transition into that and it'll be good. But the thing about this sport, man, is like when you get that winning feeling and like you knock somebody out in front of 20,000 people and they're out, you want that feeling again. So
it's a fucking high.
Yeah,
huh?
It's a high. So after that fight, I was like, fuck, I'm not retiring yet, and just kept going a few more.
I know that you also mentioned that your last fight, it was the first time you fought in front of no one, in the Apex Center,
right.
Just minimum staff, no crowd.
Yeah.
And it was eerie. It was a little bit different for you. Did it change your fight, or did you quickly adapt? Only 30 seconds in, or
no? When I'm in there, I'm in there. I don't care if there's a million people watching, no people watching. The only thing that was weird is as the fight was going on, like right when I got done, everyone's like, that was an awesome fight. But when I was in there, I didn't really realize it, because when you have the crowd there, you hear the reaction from the crowd.
Okay,
So like
right.
when the fight is good, everybody's going crazy.
Yeah. Okay.
In there, it's dead silent. So I didn't know how, I'm focused. I'm doing my job in there. I'm not thinking this is a good fight, keep going.
Right.
I'm just trying to kill or survive, either one. So I didn't know how good the fight was until afterwards. People were like coming up and telling me like Paul Felder and all that,
Were you hearing the other cornermen's a lot easier, obviously, and did that help your game out at all, or not really?
I focus on my corners. I listen to them. So coming from a wrestling background, you got to remember, like, we go to these big tournaments where there's like 4 or 5 matches going on at the same time, a bunch of background noise. So you have to really be able to figure out your coach's voices and tune into them and kind of cancel everything out. So I've always been very good at that throughout my career, as far as listening to my corners and doing what they're telling me to do. So I kind of concentrate on them, and I tend not to listen to the other corner. And
how was it that Baboon, I'm sure he's had one of the biggest influence in your career. You guys, I think you come off as best friends. You fucking play like little girls sometimes. That's how much the love is there. How did that come about? Just training, and then it just built from there?
Yeah, just training. Like I said, the first time we walked into MMA Masters, and I got to tell this story all the time because he loves it too, but we walk in late, of course, right? Like they had been practicing maybe for an hour, because the way the practices go for MMA is we warm up, we do a bunch of drilling, a bunch of pad work for like an hour or so, and then we end class with sparring. So we walk into the gym as everybody's gearing up for sparring. So everybody's warmed up, they're all ready to go. And then they're like, you just put your stuff on. You're going to go to the cage and spar. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't even warm up or anything yet. I'm cold as hell.
Right.
And they're like, you're going to spar with Baboon. I'm like, okay. And, I put my stuff on. I get in the cage, and I'm talking to my coach through the cage. And then I turn around to see who I'm sparring. And Baboon is pacing back and forth, like looking at me like I just said something bad about his mom, like he wanted to kill me.
Like a super legit
I'm
fight.
like, who is this guy right now? So
was he Jerry curls back then or no?
No, this was red hair Baboon back then.
Oh, you're talking about way back.
I'm talking about way back, bro.
Way back.
2009.
Holy
This was
shit.
2009.
Okay.
So this was way back. And he's pacing, like, showing his teeth, like fucking growling at me.
Who the fuck's this new guy?
Yeah, exactly. Fresh meat.
Yeah,
Fresh meat. I've seen it too. I've done it too when new guys come to the gym. So bell rings, he comes, boom, straight at me, bap, 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 like 5-punch combo, ends with a kick. I'm like, fuck this. I go take his ass down, hold him down for as long as I can. We scramble around. He gets up. I don't know how this happened, but he decided to be a wrestler for a second. So he comes in shooting for a takedown at the same time as I'm throwing a kick. And my knee catches him right on the eye. But, like, he kept going. He, like, kept swinging, fell into the fence, got up, and, like, he was split open. So we had to stop sparring after that. And I was like, so he might be mad at you were beating my ass, but I got you.
He's going to watch this and for sure be pissed off.
I don't want to spar with you anymore, though. It's done.
Hey, you got split by Ricardo, bro.
Yeah.
What's up, folks? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective, Season 2.
If this happens to be your first time watching or listening, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode.
Once again, thank you everyone out there for all the support.
Yeah, Baboon's he's gonna brush that one off and be like, bitch, I'm the BKFC champion.
Yeah, he is.
fuck that little knee you got on me. But
trust me, he got me with plenty more shit throughout the years that we trained. So,
man, when me and Baboon were working together at UFC gym, whenever I got hit from nowhere, I knew it was him.
Yeah.
Every time he came into work, I'm just chilling with a client, something, pow, slap, pinch my butt, whatever. Baboon, and he just starts all of us.
Yeah, I'd get hit from nowhere, but it'd be when we're sparring. So it's not like he came up from behind. He was right in front of me and hit me from nowhere. So.
I'm so happy for him, man. He's doing great, Baboon. We love you to death, man. We'd love to see the success that you got going on. Keep whooping ass, and we'll see what happens with his next fight. I don't know who they're going to give him next. Yeah. Big money fight.
He needs it. Yeah,
Dave Feldman, if you're listening, man, make sure you hook that boy up. Yeah, he definitely deserves it. And make it in Miami. Real quick, though, speaking about those injuries, bro, are you good, man? You don't have anything that's creeping up on you that you feel from such a fucking career?
We'll see. Luckily right now, brain-wise, I feel fine. I don't, forget my name or anything like that. Worst injury I had was, the Cater fight. I fractured my jaw in 2 places after that one. So I had to get surgery and get some plates put in, but came back and it held up good in my last fight. I took a good knee to the chin and didn't go down from it. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, I remember that you said that you were slightly dazed, but then you kind of gained focus pretty quickly back. That's battle wounds, bro. You're used to doing that, man.
Yeah.
That's what a fucking soldier does. It's crazy.
Right.
It's crazy to see what some of these fighters do. That's why we need those refs there. That's why those refs got to stop the fights when they're supposed to, because these fighters are out. They're not even there, and yet you see them doing stuff, attempting things. It's years of doing it. Yep. Repetition kicks in. So you had this amazing last fight. Nobody was too sure, except maybe your wife. I mean, you weren't even sure, and you said it in your post-fight interviews. You still weren't sure at the time if you were going to retire. But then you did make the decision. But before we get to you making the decision, as you were talking to Joe Rogan was interviewing you.
Paul Felder.
It was Paul Felder. You're right. It was Paul Felder. You're right. Paul Felder was interviewing you. He does so great behind that fucking. He is just so awesome with that commentating. And you guys had a great interview. And then you asked him if you can speak about something. And again, this is what got my attention. I didn't know you were so heavily involved in making such a movement. Especially for the Cuban peoples, for the exiles, against the regime and everything else. And when you did that, first, Ricky, I didn't even know you fucking spoke Spanish that damn good.
Yeah.
Swear to God, I didn't know you're Spanish. I've never heard you speak Spanish. And in Miami, a lot of Latinos, unless they're from the fucking La Tierra, they don't speak Spanish like they should. It's like everybody's pulling away from their Spanish,
Right.
It's just a reoccurring thing that happens in generations.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure. And then you went to, hey, Paul, man, you mind if I say something real quick? And they did, and I felt it, dude. I really felt what you were talking about. If you don't mind, for those of you who didn't see that interview, can you tell people about this movement of what you're doing, the shirt that you're wearing, and what it's all about?
Yeah, so, the whole Cuban thing, and it's funny you say that you didn't know that I was involved in that, but my whole life I've been involved in it. My father is a political exile. He was heavily involved in the resistance against Fidel when he was in Cuba. He was like the he hates when I use the word president, but he was like the head of a student sector of a movement called the 30th of November Frank Pais movement.
Okay.
So, you know, they would do like little operations and stuff, and they were very nonviolent, right? But they would go out and you know, hand out newspapers or whatever, kind of speaking out against the government, you know, informing the people there, you know, X amount of political prisoners, there, you know, all this stuff. And that, you know, you can't do that down there. So over time, it kind of built up. And he was involved in a little altercation when, you know, eventually it was moving towards a counter-revolution. That's what they were trying to go towards. And there are all these different little groups of resistance in Cuba because they didn't, I think a lot of them didn't know who they could trust because the government had, you know, chivatones everywhere, right? And you didn't know who could be like with the government. So you kind of had your little group that you would do stuff with. And that's why there were so many different ones. And my dad, when he decided to leave, he like left it at the perfect time because a little bit after, so he came to the United States through the help of the Brazilian embassy in Cuba. He went to them first. He had to stay at the Brazilian embassy in Cuba for about 6 months, and then he flew to the United States, to Chicago, where one of his brothers was already. I don't know if it happened while he was in the Brazilian embassy or right after he left, but it wasn't that long after he left. His group was infiltrated by the government. Everybody was arrested. His friend who took his place as the head of that group was sent to the firing squads 21 days after being captured. So if my dad didn't leave, you know, at the time that he did, that would have been him. And then, you know, besides that, my whole family has been involved in it. You know, my father's uncle was a general in Batista's army. And for those who don't know, Batista was the dictator before Fidel, who kind of gave him the sway of getting people behind him to overthrow that dictator.
What was that general's name? Because I have a little
Fulgencio Batista. Oh, Tony Lamas.
So my coincidentally, you know, huge coincidence, when Fidel went over there and took over, my grandfather was, I don't know, I think he was the third. It was General Carlos Cantillo.
Yeah.
And it was his brother, my great uncle, right? That's what you call brother of a grandfather.
Yeah.
My great uncle was above him. So I'm wondering, man, they had to know each other, those, because
probably.
My grandfather got put in prison. He did 8.5 years. My great uncle got put in prison. He did 11 years.
Yeah.
And my dad and my grandmother, they all got all their property, all their goods stripped away and said, you know, you might as well leave because you're not getting any of this. So that's when they came to Miami.
Yeah, and that's crazy you said that because my great uncle, the one that I'm talking about, he was a general he was in prison during Batista, right? For, I think, you know, helping Cuban dissidents or whatever. So he was in prison. And then when Castro came into power, they kept him in prison because they said he was a high risk, you know, and they could just say whatever they want and keep you. He ended up spending 22 years as a political prisoner. And then my uncle, my dad's brother, also spent almost a decade. I think it was 7 or 8 years he spent as a political prisoner with no proof, nothing. They just threw him in jail. They said, you know, he was a high risk person or whatever. And
did they when they eventually got out, did they make it over here?
Yeah. So my uncle did, and my great uncle both actually made it over here. I think my great uncle lives here in Miami right now. So they made it over. There was something that my grandmother did where she moved to the United States and she asked for the release of my uncle. And I think through that, they released him and let him come to the U.S. So
what is the foundation about? What is it that you're doing right now? You got this shirt on. For those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, the shirt is of Ricky. Yeah, let the camera see it.
En la tumba de Fidel Castro.
Exactly. He's pissing on the tombstone of Fidel. There's 3 tombstones. It says Raul, which is Fidel's brother, on the left, and it's an open hole in the ground. Fidel, which is obviously closed casket, whatever, is in the grass, and he's pissing on that. And then to the right is Diaz-Canel. Who is that?
Diaz-Canel is like the acting president right now.
Oh,
Miguel
okay.
Diaz-Canel.
Okay.
Yeah, so he, obviously Raul is there, and he's probably the one
exactly.
giving all the orders, but, the face of the regime right now is Diaz-Canel.
Okay. So what you told me was all proceeds for the shirts go to the foundation, which is to help these.
Yeah, so my father, since he left Cuba, he's remained in the fight. He's done everything he can. He's He's part of a committee right now that's made up of other Cuban exiles kind of living in Chicago. And throughout the year, they'll host little events and raise money and then send it down to like Las Damas de Blanco or whoever, whoever's kind of resisting the government, just helping out the way they can. Because of COVID, they haven't had a chance to have any of these functions, and I don't know, a lot of people, there was a movement that just started in Cuba not too long ago called Movimiento San Isidro. San Isidro is a little neighborhood in Havana where this movement started.
Okay.
And these guys kind of started going on hunger strikes, and then people have been going out and protesting in the streets, which is kind of unheard of down there. So it kind of caught fire throughout Cuba, and everybody is going out. And because of the help of social media too, all these videos are coming out of people, taking the abuse from the police, from the government, and
that I've been seeing through Enrique Santos is always posting videos, and he was posting them from Cuba, and I was like, what the fuck is going on over there? It's crazy.
Yeah. So I had the idea of just a kind of a small way to raise money and send down there to these different groups to help them out is by making this shirt and selling them, and I'm going to give all the proceeds to my father's committee, and then they're going to disperse it. They have connections through Umpacu, and my dad has actually been in contact with the guy that kind of started the San Isidro movement. So we're going to get the money down to them and see if we could help
Question,
out.
and this might be like asking the dope dealer on camera, who's your provider? I don't know if this is how I should ask this, but I don't know what else to do. But is the money that you're accumulating to help, is it being processed like legitimately, or are they trying? Do they have to do it underground, because obviously if anybody over there finds out,
right,
they'll shut it down?
I think they'll have to do maybe a little of both. I don't,
Okay.
My father has done it already. Like I said, I think they've sent money down to some members of Las Damas de Blanco down there. So they know how to get it down there.
Okay.
I think for sure some of it will have to be under wraps, because even right now there's like a block against Cuba. I've even when I've been getting payments from people, I have to tell them not to put the word Cuba in the memo, because whatever app they're using will block the payment because they put Cuba in there. Because Cuba's on like a ban list with the United States right now. I think the government right now is considered like a terrorist organization, which they are. So
Yeah, of course, obviously. So now my question is this. I just had I talked to you about my good friend Caballo. I hope one day you can do a podcast with him, by all means. He loves to support movements like this, especially for the Cuban race. He had a guest yesterday on his podcast that I had on my podcast, and she's very politically driven. And she's a hothead. She's awesome. Linda, if you're listening, you're awesome. But she's one of those girls that, man, you get out the way. She's very alpha, very passionate about what she's doing. And I try to ask her, hey, do you really, and it's not an insulting thing, and it really isn't. But I asked her, do you really feel like the amount of energy that you put in to this, what you're trying to do, the exposure, the this or that, do you really think you can stop this machine? Do you, the whole Biden this and all this, the scams that go on, how the government's controlled by the elitists and just things of that nature. Do you really think you can stop it? Do you really think, or is it right for somebody to be like, hey, don't put that much energy. You can do awareness, but don't give it all you got where you're losing sleep over it. You can't have a relationship. You can't do nothing but think about it. Anyhow, she got a little worked up when she was trying to answer me about that.
Uh-huh.
To the extent where I guess we just cut the conversation short, because I was like, bitch, I'm about to tell you something, But, I folded back, and I'm like, she's a little bit too passionate about it. Let me not. I want to ask you on a lower level, though, Do you really think that everything that's going on, being that what your dad went through, obviously, is very informative to you. You've been part of this movement, little as it is, and has been growing. Do you think it is going to eventually take its toll and you guys can stop it? Will it take what your shirt is showing? Will it be when Raul dies and then Buddy's going to back down? Is the movement gaining ground where you really think it'll happen? Or is this more like we're just trying to help our people survive a little bit better over there, but we don't think that Cuba won't change?
No, our hopes is that Cuba will change, and that, one day Cuba will be a free democratic country, where they could vote in their own presidents, where they have the freedom of speech, where they have the freedom to protest in the streets when they don't like something that's going on in their government. So that's been the goal that my father's had since he started fighting the regime back in 1959. I think to sit back and say, well, things aren't going to change, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Kind of goes back to there are two types of evil in this world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who do evil things, and then people who see evil things being done but do nothing about it. So I don't want to be one of those two. So as long as
It's a good way of putting that, man.
Yeah.
That'll make somebody second guess what they think they're doing for people.
Yeah. So, and the generation of people like my dad are starting to die off. You know what I mean? My dad's 80 years old already. He already has friends that he knew back in Cuba who have passed away. It's just they're going and going and going, and their stories are going to die with them unless people like me pass it on.
Exactly.
So I think that's really important, and I'm not going to let my dad's life's work go away for nothing.
That's amazing.
If I'm here, it's going to keep going.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you feel like that about it and so passionate. And on that note, I remember when I was looking at your interview, fucking tearjerker. I hate when men make me cry. I fucking hate when a man makes me cry, bro. And here I am watching Ricardo's interview. It's an amazing interview, and it gets to a portion of they're talking about your dad, and you teared up talking about how he's so amazing, he's so strong, he's so this. I can only imagine how good that feels to be like, damn, my dad was really trying to help the people all the way out through his whole fucking life, trying to help his people, and that's a really good feeling, and for you to take on that responsibility is not a burden. That responsibility and be like, I got us, Dad. I'm gonna keep doing this.
Yeah, being a kid and seeing your father be so passionate about something, you always want to like, what can I do? I want to help. You know. And growing up, I felt like I could never really help. And then I started with this fighting thing, and then got a bigger platform to project whatever message I want to send out. So I was like, this is my way to help. Maybe I wasn't meant to be a world champ in MMA, but I could use it to do something like this, which is just as good to me.
And talk about literally going out like with the best bang. I mean, to win the way you did, do it so impressively during such an interview. To say what you did, the way you did, the message came out. You spit it out. So people always. I give Chael Sonnen so much props. Chael Sonnen, I think, is an amazing guidance to fighters. Yeah. I hate it when fighters don't listen to him. When you get the microphone, fuck shouting out your coaches and all. Man, your coaches know, your sponsors know. You shout them out during meetings and post-fight interviews with reporters, things of that nature. But when you got that microphone, that's your time to call somebody out or get a big message out. And he teaches that a lot, and I felt like you epitomized it that day. And not knowing that it was going to be your last fight, you won. You went out in amazing fashion, and you got out during your biggest moment of your stage, and you got that message out where it got so many people's attention. I know here in Miami, we were playing poker at Caballo's house. We were watching you fight, and I made everybody shut up. Hold on, shut up. And it was full of a bunch of Latinos, almost Cubans. Everybody was touched. Like, holy awesome. Shit. Like, I didn't know that. Man, there's fighters out there that fucking care, bro. That's not just fighting. They're fighting for other things, And I didn't know that. And immediately I was like, all right, I got to get some shirts. I got to help out. I think that movement is dope. And you're right. A lot of people just talk about it, and they sit back and let everybody else do the work. If I'm passionate enough about something, I will definitely do the type of stuff you're doing. But if it's not right there up my alley, I don't want to be, like you said, that other person who just sits back and watch. So I want to do what I can, and that's why I think it's awesome that you're here, and I hope that everybody listening and watching, make sure when this podcast is over, you can just stop right now and go, before you forget, go help out. Tell them really quick where they can go to help you out with this. Is it just DM you directly on Instagram?
I'm doing this all by hand by myself pretty much. So people DM me. You can pay for the shirts through PayPal, Zelle, or Venmo, and then you give me your address, what size you want, and I'll ship it out to you, the next day or whatever. So on any of my social medias, you could reach out, Ricardo Lamas MMA on Instagram, or find me on Facebook, Ricardo the Bully Lamas fan page, or just my personal page, whatever. Just send me a private message, and I'll take care of it.
So here you are now, retired. You're making this movement, which is great. I'm sure we're going to follow up, and I know you're going to do good, and I feel like you'll definitely get a lot of people to hit you up from watching the podcast to help out with the situation. But Ricky, you're retired. You're retired now. That's a very difficult thing for a fighter to do. I mean, like I tell people all the time, I can't even have I'm not lying about it. I'm not trying to be funny. I cannot have a straight conversation for more than 5 minutes without throwing a 1-2-3 combo into the air. I just can't. If I'm standing too close to you for more than 5 minutes, I want to go for a single leg.
Yep.
It's just the weirdest thing. It's what we've been doing our whole lives. You on a whole nother level. I'm nothing compared to what you're talking about. How the fuck do you shut that down? I know you have the gym, repping it right here. UFC gym. You guys check it out over there in Chicago. What part of Chicago?
Naperville.
Yeah. Naper? Naper?
Yep.
Naperville. So you're co-owned that with another partner of yours. You've been doing that now for, I think, almost a year?
3 years.
It's already 3.
It'll be 3 years, May 5th, for our soft opening.
Awesome. And I'm sure COVID fucking kicked you guys in the balls or what?
At first but we've been surviving it, man. Okay. Luckily, we built up a really great atmosphere at our gym, and our members are all very loyal and love us, and we're actually thriving through COVID,
So I would imagine that's definitely a good way to work on that itch that you continuously have, which is, to want to grapple, want to fight, want to, whatever, and you're staying active.
Yeah, I think having the gym is a huge help with that. If I wasn't in there every day and practicing with these younger guys and teaching them, and I still spar with them and roll with them, if I didn't have that, I'd go crazy, man. Like you said, it's all we know. I've competed since I was I've competed seriously since I was 14 years old. I'm 38 years old. I had my last competition at 38. So most of my life I've spent competing, and it's all that I know. And it's all I don't know how to do anything else. So if I didn't have the gym, I don't know what I'd be doing.
Let's keep it 100. Could Conor take you out of retirement?
Yeah, for sure. 100%. Yes. Come on. Everybody wants the money fight, and besides the money, just one chance to slap him in the face is all I need. So.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a huge compliment. I think it was very flattering that he said that, because he acknowledges that you're a soldier, you're a warrior, and I didn't like that he was aiming for Diego when he did, but in earlier on. But when he mentioned you, I was like, that's what I'm talking about, and I saw that you responded too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can definitely imagine that. So you're not going to go the route of other fighters be in and out of retirement or anything like that. You really don't see that. It'll have to be Conor or nothing.
It would have to be good enough to risk going in there again. Right. Money pretty much.
No, I mean, doesn't it always come somehow lean to that? If there is a risk reward. There's a risk reward, and it has to be there. What's the risk versus the reward? It's not like, I know nowadays there's a lot of fighters saying, pay me more, pay me more. It's not about that, like you're on some fucking weird Me Too movement.
Right.
It's just more so of, I'm at them. You're 38.
I'm 38.
I don't care. You look great and you fight great and you have awesome conditioning, but you're 38 and you got 3 kids, by the way, which we didn't even mention. You got 3 of them.
Yes.
What are those ages?
My son is 5, and then I have a 3-year-old and like a 1.5-year-old.
You don't watch TV?
No. It's all kids stuff all damn day. It drives me crazy.
Oh, man. God. So fun being an uncle. Get them people right back.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, I love it. Is the 5-year-old into wrestling yet?
That's all he wants to do is fight and wrestle with me. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's got tons of energy. God is just whooping my ass for what I did to my parents when I was a kid right now.
Shit. Is he a junior? Is he Ricky or no?
No, he's not a junior. No. His name's Abel. But yeah, man, you talk about like kids that are born with it. Like he's born with it.
Really?
Like since he came out, like all he's wanted to do is fight and wrestle and do all that. So we'll see if it sticks with him. Right,
of course. I mean, hey, wrestling and jiu-jitsu, I would always say any kid, I think every kid should do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It does put in wrestling as well, obviously.
But you can't push them into it. Like that's a sport. Wrestling is a sport that you can't push anybody into. They have to kind of decide on their own that they want to do it. Because if you push someone into that sport, they're going to hate it. You gotta be born for it. I
tell clients a lot, especially when it's parents wanting to train their kids. Hey, my kid wants to learn self-defense. I'm like, all right, cool. Are you more worried about self-defense? Like what would in a real-time ordeal outside is, in the streets, at school, a bully, a kidnapper, whatever. Yeah, like that. All right, then we don't need to do any boxing or kickboxing.
Right.
Really? And they dump their head like, oh, I wanted my kid to, pop, boom, boom. Listen, if you want to burn some energy off a kid and this and that, that's cool. If you have a kid who's full of energy and they like to, get aggressive, and then that's cool too. But if you're asking me, self-defense, what's the best thing out there? It's jiu-jitsu, because it's going to show you the wrestling to take somebody down, and it's going to show you how to, a small person can beat a big person.
That's right.
You know, a young girl can defend herself from a sicko of a rape attack because that's where we live in. Missionary position, okay, watch this triangle.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I said that you can't really push kids into it, but I'm pushing my daughters into it. And if they want to go to prom in high school, they better be at least purple belts in jiu-jitsu by the time. Otherwise, they're staying home.
I'm talking about. I like that. As a matter of fact, I even like the movement. I remember that Jocko was on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he said when all this shit started happening with all the officers and the issues that were occurring, you know, throughout the world, the nation, every officer, they should make it where every officer should have a blue belt in order to become an officer. I said, wow, that's an amazing fucking idea.
We actually work with a group of sheriffs in Illinois that come in like once a week, and I come in and teach them kind of basic jiu-jitsu, basic takedown stuff. So we're working on that, and we want to eventually branch off it and reach out to other precincts and other police departments and really get like try and help them out to learn how to subdue someone without hurting them.
I swear to you, Rick, I just said this, if not my last podcast, the one before. No, it was my last one. I had a close friend of mine who was actually a sex trafficked victim.
Wow.
And no one knew. You've met her. I think you met her in the past, Marco, before you disappeared on us for a little bit there, Kendra. So anyhow, we were talking about, and skip through it. I said that I was willing to offer for free weekly lessons to police officers, that I wanted to work with anybody watching but it would have to be, this isn't no private lessons. This is, hey, you make your officers obligated to come once a month or whatever a month to see me, and I will donate a session for free.
Yeah.
Get them in here so that we can work on their confidence on how to handle things. And I love that you're doing that, because I think that will help. You know, when you see two cops on some skinny crackhead or some whatever, some thug ass dude whose pants are falling off his ankles, his ass, and they can't even sustain them. They can't do the simple, just take them down and hold them like that. That's insane. That's white belt shit. Right. That's 101 right there. Just take somebody, a little foot sweep, a little ankle pick, whatever it is, and hold them down. So for us, from MMA, it's kind of like if you watch a movie, the fight scene better be as realistic as possible. If not, you can't watch it, right? You're like, get the fuck out of here.
It's more the training, too, than the fight scene. I'm just like watching actors hit heavy bags and stuff. Nothing drives me more crazy than that. Or like watching them do pad work. I want to pull my hair out.
Yeah. So, and I feel the same way, unfortunately, when cops go through certain things and you see these videos and you're like, come on, dude, that was the easiest thing to hold that person down. Why did you have to, But anyhow, I don't want to get off topic on that. I think that's amazing that you're doing that. Your gym is doing that. And I know your gym will continue doing good with everything that's going on over there. So that's awesome. I mean, it's a great corporation.
Yeah.
And they have how did you decide to do that, by the way?
So
I think you were coming to our gym just to train, and then you saw, I don't know.
Well, so my other partner in the gym, I have two other partners. One I met back in my personal training career. Like, he trained at the other gym, and we kind of remained friends. And he helped us out a lot with like the negotiation with the landlord and stuff like that, because he owns buildings and all that. So he's more of like a silent partner. But my other partner, Matt Kuchert, we wrestled together in college. So I've known him for a long time, and we've always talked about opening up a place together. So he came in and kind of took over running the whole day-to-day. So when we were thinking about opening up, we didn't know if we wanted to go our own signature route, like a Ricardo Lamas MMA gym. Or we saw a couple of UFC gyms that were popping up around the area, and I knew one of the guys that owned one, so I went in and talked to him about it. And what me and Matt really liked about the UFC gym is that it's more of a family-friendly environment.
Exactly.
Like, we have, everyone from 4-year-olds up to like a 76-year-old woman is one of our oldest members that does like boxing 3 times a week with a trainer. So we really liked that. Both of us were family men at the time, and I just felt like it's more welcoming. It's a more welcoming environment than like a fight gym.
Right. People
are going to be scared to come in and kind of learn from. So
yeah, I totally agree on that. And we know that, let's keep it 100, fighters are broke. Yeah. If you haven't made it, fighters are broke. Yeah. Fighters are broke. And if you're making a gym, if you're opening up a gym thinking, oh, I want to get some fighters in here, maybe get somebody to get to the UFC and this and that. So that's not a business-minded approach.
No.
Because if you really think about it from a business perspective, it's the women and kids that bring the money. Everybody wants their kids to learn. The women's are always looking for a way to get that energy out because they hate men. And we piss them off somehow. And they love to kick and punch and all that. You know, they don't get a chance to do that. So, yeah, the gym is definitely structured to breed you success on that tip.
What's up, folks? Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of the Black Sheep Perspective, Season 2, baby. If this happens to be your first time watching or listening, please take a quick second to hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell so that you don't miss another episode. And once again, guys, really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you, everyone out there, for all the amazing support.
Rick, I like that you obviously have thought your way through your career where you knew, hey, there needs to be something after this. Because where a lot of athletes fuck up, I don't know that MMA ones are those athletes, probably because, you know, you guys see way lesser big checks than the other athletes do. You know, football players, NBA motherfuckers get paid huge versus you guys. It's gotten way better. I know, especially since you began, you've seen the paychecks go up.
Yeah.
But it's still nothing compared to what some of these other athletes get. But nonetheless, it sucks to see an athlete do so well. You imagine he made so much money and fucking when his career's over, he's got nothing to show for it. Or he was doing so good that he started living lavishly, and when his career is over, that now he can't afford that same mansion, that same whatever it is. You don't come off like that at all. You've always been grounded. I don't know if it's because of your dad and the stories that you know. I'm sure all that plays a role. Coming to Miami, you've never been one to shy away from signing autographs, saying hi to people. You've always been mad humble, and that's a great thing. And I guess coming full circle, it's all showing now with your movement and people hearing this and how much of an influence your dad has had. It's great to see that you have this gym, you have this partnership, you have this second part of your life. What else can we expect going forward? You have your gym, we have the movement. Anything else in the works?
Yeah, man, you know, as far as the gym, our gym is doing really well right now, so we eventually want to expand maybe, and then maybe also make that signature gym, you know, kind of move away from the franchise and start building our own franchise. You know, just we're always thinking bigger. We're always looking at different opportunities. You're just going to see more businesses come out of my LLC. You know, we've been meeting with some people down here talking about a few things, and we're keeping everything open right now. So priority one right now is to build this gym up, you know, to a point where we can either sell the business and maybe still stay on as minority shareholders or something, and then work on the signature gym or expand the current gym and just move into, you know, right now we're like a mid box, you know, we're thinking about the big box. So just expanding on that and really keeping an open mind and not being afraid to go into other routes of business besides just, you know, the gym.
You know that, like the Mike Tyson fight with Roy Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, it seems like people are getting into legend fights. Bare knuckle, you know, speaking of Baboon, bare knuckle at first was looked down upon because they were getting all these fighters who were at the complete end of their careers because UFC didn't want to re-sign them and whatever else. Now it looks like, I fucking love it, but now it looks like, well, hold up, no, bare knuckle is like legit as it gets. That's it. That is bringing it back to the root of it all. Hey, mano a mano, no wrestling, but you can clinch as long as you're throwing those hands. I mean, that is the root of fighting. Back in the days, if you did anything except throw punches, what are you doing, bro? Hold on, stop the fight, stop the fight. What are you doing? What are you doing? You can't do that. That's not a fight. You got to throw hands. So now bare knuckle's blowing up. They're giving away nice paychecks. Anyhow, people are coming back out of retirement. People are coming back out of the woodworks. Minus that whole Conor thing that we were having fun with it. If they started something like Old Legends fight, if you got a call from Brazil and they say, hey, we want this rematch with Jose Aldo. Mm-hmm. Do you really think that it's in you? Would you always try to stay in some type of good enough shape because, hey, I know me, it's always possible, so I'm going to hover around that area of could I do it if the opportunity came? Or are you, because of everything you just said, No, you're gonna stay in shape. You're gonna, keep banging with your young ones and help these people out and keep getting other fighters ready. We know that the UFC gym, again, family friendly. You're not gonna have a lot of fighters coming out of there. It's very rare, but you can still help them out. But you sound like you're getting into the entrepreneur world. I think that's the smarter route to go. But we know how fighters think.
Yeah.
Is there any way to get you out of it minus the whole Conor McGregor big money fight? Or is it really just lands on the money part?
I would never say never, but there would have to be a big incentive for me to come out and take that risk with my health again, especially having the family that I have now, just thinking about their future. I wouldn't want to risk anything for their future with their father unless it's able to help their future. You know what I mean? So it all comes back to the money, I guess.
Right.
It's got to be worth it to get in there and make those risks again.
And by the way, I don't think that we get enough shout outs by fighters in general. I think Dustin Poirier is probably the best at doing it. We don't give the wives enough props for what they go through. And, it has to be one of the toughest things, minus a parent. If your parent is heavily involved in your career and they're watching you fight, that's got to be as tough as it gets. The next one in line is parent, wife or kids. So props to your wife, man, for dealing with you for all this.
Dealing with me is the right word too.
Weight cuts,
injuries, and just training camp. You know what I mean? Like
going away from
yeah. My wife, God bless her, man. She has been, kind of like the backbone of my career since we got married and started, and especially after having kids and all that. Before when we were dating, we started dating when I was in the WEC, so she's been with me for almost my entire, the big part of my career. It sucked leaving her, going away to train for training camps, but it wasn't the same as when we have kids now. Now when I leave, she's there alone with the kids, taking care of the whole house and taking care of the kids. And I don't know how she does it, because I wouldn't be able to do it, man. I would go crazy.
You're flipping out just retiring and having to deal with them.
And then on top of that, she'd have to deal with Cranky Rick coming home from the gym if I had a bad day at the gym, or Cranky Rick is cutting weight and can't eat the pizza that she ordered for the kids, and all that. So, but she understands it a lot more because she actually had a couple amateur kickboxing fights.
Oh
back
shit,
in the
that's
day.
awesome.
So,
okay, all right.
Yeah, she was a black belt in Taekwondo, and then when we met, I started bringing her to the gym, and she started training and learning Muay Thai, and then she had a couple of fights. So she's got that fighter mentality in her, and she understands everything really well about what a fighter goes through, and I think that helps a lot. It helps her understand.
I became a big fan of Laura Sanko.
Yeah.
The female.
She trains with James Krause.
I didn't know none of this.
Yeah,
I just I remember watching it here with an old friend. I'm always watching fights at my house, and here she is, doing her thing, and I'm like, dude, this chick is badass with her skills, her commentating, and then she's doing all these statistics and all this information. I'm like, damn it, she really knows her shit.
Yeah.
Then I saw her go to Invicta, and she was really commentating. She just wasn't, I don't know what the difference is. She was color commentating, whatever.
Right. Doing the play-by-play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And she's just yelling out all these moves, and then I'm like, who the fuck, who's this bitch? And I look her up, and I see, oh my God, she actually fought. She actually trains. She's under Krause. She's
I think she has a purple belt or a brown belt in jiu-jitsu under him or something.
Oh man,
crazy.
that's smoking hot. Laura, if you listening, come to Miami. Let's do a podcast. No, she's awesome. Anyhow, the reason I say that, I think it's great when a couple shares that same ground. Your wife doesn't have to be such a fighter like you are, but you have to have that understanding. And ladies, I'm not saying that if you don't fight, you can't date a fighter. I'm not saying that, but the more common ground you share, the better. Yeah. If you don't understand the amount of shit we go through when it comes to cutting weight and being this and being, it's kind of like us not understanding you guys on your periods. You guys are all a bunch of animals and all different species of animals. You guys are fucking crazy when it comes to periods, and we still can't figure it out why. We don't know what the hell's going on.
We've never been through it. Yeah, it's hard to understand something if you haven't been through it yourself. So
I remember I had an ex-girlfriend who nut checked me one time. Bop. And it was like just a little flipper, click.
Yeah.
Barely hit my left testy, and I was down and out. And she swore I was full of shit. Oh, my God, you're so faking it. And I waited till I recovered. It was like, I don't know, a good 2 minutes where I was like, oh, God. And I told her, I go, hey, You have no idea what it is to have a testicle.
Yeah.
I don't know what a period feels like. When you say cramps, I'm thinking cramps like I drank too much water and I went running. I don't know what the hell cramps you're talking about. You make it sound like you got a creature in you. When you hit a man's balls, it really is a whole nother indescribable thing that occurs to us. It goes from that little part that you hit till we feel it in our brain. Like I don't know how to explain it. You know, I mean, see or no, and then and then blue balls. They think we're full of shit with blue balls. No, we're not. Blue balls is a real thing. Like they think we're full of shit. So I think the more common grounds you share, the better. So I think that's pretty dope that your wife been through your career and all that. Shout out to her. Good for her. It's definitely tough. And I guess I just want to say that because people don't say it enough. And I think Dustin is one of the big ones who says it, you know. I know we're closing out, bro. I know that we have fights to go to tonight. We all got a bunch of people. I don't have anybody personally fighting, but I'm going with Gus, close friend of all of ours. You know Gus. Marco, you know Gus as well. He's with Goat Shed Academy. They got a couple of fighters. You might be going against one of them, are you?
I don't think we're going against Goat Shed.
No?
I know we're going against ATT for one, and the other guy, I'm not sure where his team is from, but it's not Goat Shed.
Okay. One of your boys looks jacked as fuck.
Yeah, Ronnie.
Is he a wrestler?
Yeah, they're both wrestlers. So we got a good pipeline of athletes because, like I said, me and Matt both wrestled at Elmhurst College. Elmhurst isn't too far away, and Matt is still pretty active. We were both assistant coaches there after we graduated. When I started getting more serious with the fighting, I kind of stepped away, but Matt stayed on.
Okay.
So he's still kind of an assistant coach there for Elmhurst. And then we kind of have that pipeline of guys that graduate that maybe are interested in fighting and have that good collegiate wrestling background. So we pull a lot of guys from there that'll come train with us.
That's good scouting. That's good.
Yeah.
That definitely can go somewhere. Well, we want everybody to follow you. We want everybody to do what they got to do to help with the movement and just to be a fan of yours. So the handle is Ricardo Lamas MMA?
Yes.
So on everything or just Instagram?
On Instagram and on Twitter, Ricardo Lamas MMA.
Ricardo Lamas. So that's, if you guys don't know how to spell, RICARDO, and it's one L.
Yes.
LAMAS MMA. Yeah. No in between spaces, underscore, nothing. Nope. Okay. And then you guys, once you follow him, obviously you can help out, DM him, and he gave you the details. We can do it through Zelle or different ordeals.
Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo. Yeah.
Guys, everybody can use a little bit of help. You don't have to be Cuban to help. You don't even have to be Latino. Ricky's just trying to help people who are in a dire situation. And like you said, your dad has passed you the baton, passed you the torch, or, just not even just you, but you want to make sure that all his efforts doesn't go away with his passing. Is he healthy? Is he good? Or
yeah, he's healthy. I think all parents could be healthier, and they never want to listen to my advice.
Especially an old Cuban.
Yeah, especially an old Cuban for sure, bro.
Is he still eating?
Song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's doing well though.
Okay.
He's doing good.
Good. And your mom, is she of the same age or no?
My mom's a little younger. She's had her struggles too. She's a cancer survivor and went through that, and we're trying to get her healthy again too.
Okay, well, I'm good to hear that she got past it. No, what is it called when you
relapses?
No, not the relapse. There's something else. When it comes back, fuck.
No, yeah. So far, she's been going to get checkups, and everything's good.
Okay, good. Ricky, I really appreciate it, man. Like I said, I'm a huge fan, but I'm also a bigger fan of doing the right things. I think you're doing the right thing. I mean, shit, I would love to watch you fight more, and I know you got it in you, but it is the right thing to do. You are thinking about your family, your health, your future, and there's a lot more after the fight life. There's a lot more. You got a whole nother half of fucking life. Yeah. So it's a good time to do it. Conor McGregor, I dare you to call this man out. Give my boy a paycheck. Jose Aldo maybe too, I don't know. We're going to go to Titan FC in a couple of hours, going to watch these fights. Wish your boys good luck. I hope they do good. We'll definitely be there. I hope we get a good night of fights. And my brother, I appreciate you very much, man. Very much. Thank you for coming by.
No problem. Thank you, man.
Guys, stay tuned in. Show your support. Make sure you go follow Ricky. DM him. Try to help the cause out. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Appreciate everybody out there. Love and peace. Take care.